Hello, Raptors, and welcome back to the letter. I know it's been a while, guys, but hey, I'm still back on the grind, and I don't know what's happening to the game right now. Whoa there, what are you doing? Right. Okay, that was weird, but that seemed to solve the issue. Anyways, welcome back to the game, guys. I know it's been a long time coming since I played this game. It's been almost 4 days, I guess. But hey, we're back in the game, so let's get into the letter, guys. Let's get back into it. Last episode, Marianne was visiting Luke and Hannah on plans for the mansion, and some things seem to happen. But you guys will, if you want to see what happened in the previous episode, you might want to check the previous episode. Hey, okay. Anyways, let's get into it.
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage?
The garage will be fine, but anything to do with closets and attics are out of the question. I'm just saying.
Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
That's totally fair.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theatre, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
Oh, it definitely sounds fair. Oh, yes, it sounds fair. Oh, wait. I can't let my feelings get into this, so I gotta go according to the game's feelings. The game has feelings, guys. Yes, it sounds fair. We can compromise. I don't know whose side to pick, but I'm going with my gut. Mr. Wright has her points, though. I really don't want to butt into the spat of a husband and wife, but with the way the two are looking at me to sell this, I might as well just skip to the facts instead of giving opinions.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible, and it isn't going to be financially sound as well. We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests.
Oh, it's gonna be
You
pissed.
have several acres of land to park on already.
It's gonna be pissed. Everyone, loud Luke temper warning. Everyone, cover your ears.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked
really?
over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough cost of these things by now, love.
Okay, okay.
Masters in business administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
That catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable that Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Wouldn't you like to know? Why do you want to butt in now, Marianne? You might want to get F out of there. Why do you want to jump into husband and wife business?
Lux upon you, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Everything starts with the Luxborn.
Excuse me? How about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know.
Oh.
We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Sure.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief.
It was brief, guys.
But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
I do not want to do that. That's the opposite of what I want to do. It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? I do have a choice. I have a choice not to take the job. Ah, jeez, we're going on me. Right into the Ermengarde mansion in their Rice is an awkward fair. They have a Rolls Royce. Oh wait, did they call their Rolls Royce a Rice? Or is Royce called Rice in Rolls Royce? Anyways, not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seatings, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them staring at each other anytime. Nobody's saying anything, up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off, and for a moment I think that he might start, but instead he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. I hate to see this mansion again. I have never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I can finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in wonder every time I see it as well. Mr. Wright moves towards the front door, keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, Hans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it.
Okay, I'm just going to bring my back is coming.
Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about.
But don't step in the attics. Don't step in either of the 2 attics that were there in the floor plans.
We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Why can't you do it yourself, Mr. Wright? I mean, I know he's a butler, but ain't that too much?
Scouts the property and circles the perimeter on foot.
Yeah.
You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass.
You look...
Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
You mush. Someday I'd like to ask how Johannes can even stand and tolerate a man. Why don't you just quit? Suddenly, the pay can't be that good. It can be, maybe. Even I'm a bit put off by our mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Probably did. Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, and if only for a little while. Ah, jeez, where was that? Was that husband and wife, which is ominously glowing, there before? I don't think it was there before. Then again, my brain might be playing tricks on me. Also, I might be wrong. Okay, I'll take it. We'll be able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is too far alien and rare. There had to be a bit of problem with the muses not working, which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seemed sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage nor wear or tear, but probably retethered during renovations. Picking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, looks to be in good shape. And the handrails and supports posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. It should be. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
Why do you want to turn a beautifully dining place into a garage? I want to know.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time.
Pretty
we
avant-garde.
might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
You could have started off with that rather than the whole avian thingy. The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand again.
This will stay a dining hall then.
I'll stay at dining hall now.
But if I may have another request instead?
No, you don't get any request. Mr. Wright, whiskey, shush.
At least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
Flowers.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there is a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone are to see them like this, there's a little doubt that they love each other.
Of course, and I want a garden full of them. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house.
Sure, you might want to go around the house, but don't go into the two attics.
I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
Nobody needs you. That leaves Mrs. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I definitely wouldn't know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere,
Okay.
I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name.
Oh, that's sad.
He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils, at least of all. What's next? Am I going to find out Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings? I highly doubt that.
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
You don't want to go. Why? When she goes without even asking if I need her there, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. Well, I read that sentence completely wrong. I'm going to read that again now. But the architect in me is committed to doing the task with every project. There you go, finally, sheesh. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around on the ground floor, and I really don't want to be alone with Whiskey. Yeah, you really don't want to. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want. No. Why? I definitely... But for the sake of the stories and for the sake of you guys want to see me get spooked out of my skin, I'm going to go on the first floor, because that's where all the magic happens, right? For enough of the floor during the open house, because I know that is just a convenient excuse. I just don't want to be in the same room as Whiskey anytime soon. So I might as well just go upstairs first. Okay, we're going upstairs. The banisters on the grand staircase landing are solid and at the proper height. Any lower and they would be in trouble. There's a small catch in the carpet though, but as long as nobody tries to run down the stairs until it gets fixed, things should be alright. And the stained glass? Art. Yes, I wanted to talk about a particular art, if it was there before or not. Do you have any idea? Mint? I'm gonna call you Mint, because Marianne is too long. Restored, no doubt, in the image of the last lady and the Lord of Emergard. Okay. Or what it was supposed to be, until Lady Charlotte's fiancé was brutally murdered. Oh, really? Was he now? But which? A witch of all things. Oh. A witch? Wait, what? What? Wait, he was murdered by a witch? An actual witch? I really want to know. From what I've heard, you would think that the historians of this place would be a lot more scrutinizing, filtering out stuff like that. I'm amazed they bothered with it, instead of replacing it with some generic cookie cutter design. The entire place alone would have cost roughly 500, even £1 million. Lady Charlotte Emergard and her beloved. Looking at a mosaic. Okay, it's not too far of a stretch for the imagination to believe that the depicted images could be Mr. and Mrs. Wright. Yeah, they probably look a little bit like, but it can be easily assumed as such if one doesn't know the history of the mansion. Really, a place like this should be protected by the government as a landmark. But what can I do about it? I hate this. Why do I do this to myself? Walking into the East Wing, I try to go into the theater, but is met with an obstacle. The obstacle that is locked doors. You don't want to unlock the locked doors. They're locked for a good reason. 2 doors too, and both of them are locked. I'd be frustrated. Would be, if I really hadn't snuck off while Wrights were having their little business meeting with Mrs. Cooper before to take a peek. With what Mr. Wright wanted, we'd have to install a powerful projector, the type they use in cinemas, and a projection screen. The seats would have to be reupholstered if they are to be any comfortable, and the walls will have to be covered in dark materials, paint, wallpaper, or install wall-to-wall carpeting. Really, all of the rooms I could be jealous of, it's this one. I could just picture myself in there watching old Kung Fu flicks on a weekend-long marathon. You like Kung Fu? Do you mean Kung Fu Panda? Po! Where's Po? Make me wonder what kind of movies Mr. You don't want to... No. Rom-coms, perhaps? Hey! I couldn't read that. I want to go back. Jesus, I didn't even press enter. In the middle of my notion and planning, I didn't even realize that I'm alone until I'm caught standing in front of a locked door like a fool.
Were you meaning to go in there?
Oh,
I'm afraid
okay.
we won't be able to open it up today.
That's a relief.
Oh well, I wanted to, but it's fine. I can still survey the rest of the place.
Okay.
Apologies, but the key was missing when they were handed over. They told us that they'd get right back to us with it.
Funny how the key got missing, huh?
What? But aren't they supposed to hand over all the keys once property changes hands?
Yeah.
That can be grounds to file a complaint.
No, sure, Marianne, you don't want to do that.
They were already kind enough to let us move in so early. There's no need to raise a fuss about it.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, we can call for a locksmith.
The air is heavy and somber when she grows quiet and glances out of the window. Out towards the vast expanse that's surrounded with what would be their house. Their home. Then she looks back at me with a sigh and a bitter smile.
Flowers. Yellow flowers. Daffodils, dandelions, and sunflowers and the sort all up front. Just a whole garden of them.
Stop imagining things.
They'll make the house look lovely, won't they?
Sure will.
Of course. A garden is a wonderful addition to any home.
As I say this, her eyes roam over me, scrutinizing and thoughtful. I have to hold back the shiver that threatens to run down my spine at being inspected so closely. Ooh.
Yes, it must be nice.
I almost dropped Spidey again, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. I always do this to him. He must hate me so now. Let me actually fix him back. Hold on. Ah! Don't fall down. Alright. There you go. He's safe.
We're still talking about the gardens, yes?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, not having to worry about what another person thinks of you.
What do you mean by that?
She lifts her hands and points at her wedding ring before it falls listlessly to her side. Currently.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't marry Luke.
Okay.
There'll be no fights about walk-in closets or silly helipads. I could do with this place as my heart desires until there's nothing but content.
Well, you would be alone all of your life, and you'd go insane. Not that you already are. I know your future, Mrs. Wright. Hannah, you're going insane. You will be turning into a yandere anytime soon. I know that for a
Then
fact.
again, I wouldn't have bought this place if it wasn't a gift for him. I probably wouldn't even be in Luxbourne if it wasn't for him.
Okay.
Maybe I would have moved to London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I might have even left the country altogether.
Aw.
France, Germany, Spain, Canada, Sweden, even America. The possibilities would have been endless.
I don't know what to say to that. What is there to say? I have nothing else to say to that as well. Okay. Alright.
I'm sorry, I must sound so petty and ungrateful.
No, you do sound pretty ungrateful.
I do love him. So very much, even if he can be a bit difficult at times.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just confused why you're telling me this, of all people.
Just a whim, I think. Just flights of fancy, that's all.
Okay, if that's all it is.
Don't you ever think about one decision you've made in your life and wonder how much would change if you chose to do things differently?
I try not to dwell on the past, ma'am.
Yeah, probably for the best. The keyword is try. Of course, thinking of the past brings up too many ghosts. No! Why do you have to say ghosts of all things? Memories of her. And I do wonder what would change if I had just said yes and when she asked for me. Maybe she'd still be with me. Why don't you decide on your own? You must have... I return to the present just like I said. I try not to dwell on the past. Okay, let's be good on our word.
You must have been quite the pair, Mrs. Wright.
Damn.
Hannah Evans and Luke Wright taking Luxbourne by storm. At least, that's what I've heard.
That gets a giggle out of her. And can I be blamed if I like the way her eyes crinkle or how she sounded when she laughed?
Quite the celebrity couple, according to all the newspapers.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always that way. Father certainly didn't approve of him at first.
I wouldn't approve of him if I was your dad. I'm just saying.
Why, he told me to stay away from him. Told me that I was too good for him.
Probably are.
That's the usual overprotective dad speak, though. But of course you know that.
I don't. I was too busy keeping my grades up at boarding school to maintain my scholarship. Okay. Never mind the fact that I went to an all-girls boarding school, so father never had any reasons to fuss over boys trying to date his little girl.
And what did you tell him? Considering you are Mrs. Wright now, you or the mister must have convinced him otherwise.
Yes, well, I told him I was my own woman and I could decide who was deserving of me or not on my own. Thank you very much.
Damn, straight to the point, huh?
That never stopped him from making sure Luke couldn't get anywhere near me without an escort and a guard anyway. Though he certainly wasn't that overprotective when I was dating Jack.
Maybe your father considered this Jack a more capable man?
Who's Jack now?
I doubt it. Jacqueline was nowhere close to being any sort of a role model when we were in college. She was rebellious, reckless, and immature.
Oh,
Everything I wasn't.
She was.
But she was quite the charming, stunning woman, and I think that made her quite likable.
Oh, okay. That takes me by surprise. A lot more than the fact that Mrs. Wright's father-in-law didn't like him. That was much to be expected. But this? I have nothing against them because that's their thing. Though the nuns and the priests would say otherwise. Although, wasn't she worried about the implications, the rumors that would have arisen about her dating another of the same sex? Especially with someone of her social status.
You look surprised, Marianne. The first thing anybody needs to know about me is that I go after what I want. And when it comes to who I love, it doesn't matter to me whether they're a man or a woman.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. It's a nice enough sentiment. Still, the thought that this lovely lady before me had once been with another woman, I can feel my cheeks heat up a bit, and I panic, thinking they might be ready enough for Mrs. White to notice. I can't tell, though a coy smile graces her lips. I can't tell.
Legs, we called her, because of how often she was running about because of one thing or another. Climbing up walls and, what do they call it now? Parkour.
Legs. Really?
And also because of her, well, legs.
Oh.
And you went after her?
Not right away. When I first met her, I wanted nothing to do with her. She was so improper and uncouth. But I slowly realized that didn't mean she was a bad person. On the contrary, she did many a good thing and was always so nice to others.
Okay.
I found myself confused. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to be her or wanted to be with her.
So you did both?
So I approached her, told her that I might have fancied her.
And your father didn't mind?
He must have thought it was my form of rebellion. But he never watched out for Jack as much as he watched out for Luke.
Okay.
If I didn't love my father so much, if he hadn't raised me right, I think I might have told him to bugger off.
Aww.
He's never been more attentive of me than when I started bringing home dates.
I'm sure he loved you very much.
I'm pretty sure. She laughs once more, a glow about her. I know, she says with a small smile.
I suppose I've taken too much of your time with my silly stories. You still have much to inspect?
I've inspected a
I
lot.
still have most of this floor, and I'll want a quick run-through of the ground floor again later.
I shan't keep you from your work any longer then. Just call me if you need anything.
I shan't call you later.
I'd like to look around myself.
When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing into the foyer. I look out of the window where she was standing, and I move on. Oh no, not again. Alone with nothing but my thoughts and her.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Thought the old biddy would never leave.
What? It's her madness just hearing things. I reckon it's a stress, though I don't know what exactly I'm stressed about. If meeting Mrs. Wright has already thrown me for a loop, I'd be worried. From developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call a doctor. I don't want. No. I don't know why I'm speaking like that, but okay. But hopefully it isn't that right here and not right now. I mean, it could be just a personal talking cricket, that the conscience, so to speak. And I'm only noticing it now, though if it isn't very helpful. Pushing the dilemma of voices in my head aside, I go back to work. But I can barely make it a few steps before everything tilts and shifts. I don't really stumble, but it feels like I'm being thrown off my feet and the rest of the world just follows. Though my feet stays firmly on the ground, and even if I have to stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved and put off balance. Ah, it's one of the jump scares, isn't it? I do not want to see this. But I'm gonna be awake by my eyes are tearing. I don't know why. Oh. I have to close my eyes in the hopes of feeling a sudden sense of vertigo away, but when I open them... Okay! Oh, I guess I was my eyes tearing. I was expecting this. But why is there blood everywhere? I don't understand. Well, I don't feel any sick because of the sight that greets me. Blood dripping from the walls and ceilings, pooling downwards and seeping into the curtains and the carpets. A wave of nausea stronger than the last hits me, along with overpowering stench of blood and gore. Why? I want to bolt. The restful part of my head is telling me to flee. And I would have gladly done it as it asks if only I didn't hear
In
her.
here, Marianne. Come on. I have something to show you.
Never listen to the voices in your head, especially if they're speaking like that, and especially if you're alone in a haunted mansion with a haunted ghost and blood dripping everywhere and you're starting to see things. Do not hear voices in your head, that's all I'm saying. Okay. I could have ignored it, would have ignored it if only I heard it in my head. But I swear this time it's coming from one of the rooms. Much further into the study. I feel compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. You might want to do that, not when it's her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. What? What? Lorianne? Lovely Amanda Lorianne I can't. Anyways, she was my friend and the only one that I had at St. Samantha's. I was a scholar of the charity case in the school of privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down at me, if they cared to look at me or acknowledge at my presence at all. All except her.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve.
Myth.
Why, I ought to teach that butterface a lesson.
Okay.
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Ooh.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
Gibbs. Lorianne was there when I needed her, though my highs and lows. Having her as a friend made being in a strange school, away from her father, all the more tolerable. She was this poor, helpless girl who was kept down and shunned by everyone else. And being the kind of soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
I can get more. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you?
No.
It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. And we can have a go at druids and demons again.
Druids and demons?
You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like that. In the darkest corners of my mind where traitorous thoughts lurked, I thought that she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan, offering a helping hand. And perhaps I had been too selfish to return the favor.
You have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then.
That's not what I mean!
I know what you mean, Em.
Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble.
I still have something to do.
Really?
Don't worry. It's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her.
Okay.
Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend.
Sure.
I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of tobblers.
Because when she told me she loved me, I couldn't admit that I felt the same way. Not to her, and not even to myself. It was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife, one man, one woman. Unclean, impure. I prayed for her and I, for our sins and for our salvation. I wanted to apologize for disregarding her feelings so callously. It might have been like a slap to her face for her. But life had gotten in the way. Okay guys, that's all the time I have for this episode. I know it's a weird way to end the episode, but I have a feeling things are going to be a lot more crispier when we come back. So yeah, that being said guys, thank you all for the love and support. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Peace.
Legends never die.